What's up, y'all? I'm going to give you guys my short fight week breakdown and prediction of Tszyu versus Brian Mendoza. There's a lot of fights that I got to catch up with, so yeah, so I'm definitely going to make this short, but keep an eye out for this fight this coming weekend because this is a very important fight at 154 pounds, especially with the recent events that have been happening around the boxing world, especially with the former undisputed champion Jermell Charlo going up to face Canelo. And apparently there was a stipulation where the WBO mandated Tszyu to still fight Jermell Charlo, and Jermell didn't really honor it and went for the money instead by going up in weight to fight Canelo. And WBO had no choice but to strip him, and so Tszyu was elevated to be the WBO champion. And from what I believe, WBC is on the line from the looks of it. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. So either ways, let's break down the fight. Uh, I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but Tszyu is real good, with the pressure, very educated pressure. And Brian Mendoza is coming off a big win against Sebastian Fundora, who everybody had a lot of hope for and all that. But personally, I always saw him as a flawed fighter, and eventually he was going to get exposed because the way that he was fighting for his height, yeah, it was already going to be a recipe for disaster if he stepped up in competition. Like even a Danny Garcia would have given Sebastian Fundora problems. Let's say that for example. But eventually it was going to come, and Brian Mendoza came in the form of it, and it kind of surprised everybody. But at the same time, man, I'm not really too surprised because I knew it was eventually going to happen. So, back to this fight with Tszyu. Tszyu is definitely coming off that win against Tony Harrison, but I think this is the fight right here where it's really going to tell me a lot about Tszyu in terms of like his consistency, especially when he is defending his title for the first time, which is the WBO world title. And I don't know, like if he's gonna overlook Brian Mendoza. I don't think he is, but I think he is gonna have some lapses in the fight where it's gonna be a lot harder than he thought it was, especially since he's fighting over there in Australia, his home country, of course. So I'm picking Tszyu by a very close decision. And a lot of people are going to say that Brian Mendoza was robbed because it was a close fight, and Brian is probably going to have a lot of great moments compared to Tszyu, but I think the boxing ability of Tszyu is definitely going to give him that edge. As much as everybody, says that Tszyu is also a flawed fighter, he does have some flaws, that's for sure. I mean, I could critique him on a lot of stuff, but in this fight, I think it's going to be a tough matchup, but it's going to be a learning curve that Tszyu is going to have to deal with. So I'm picking Tszyu by unanimous decision, 7-5, 8-4. Let me know what y'all